Guys, what's up? So as promised, I'm gonna do a story today. If you're wondering why I'm wearing this in like the summertime, it's because my hair looks like this. I'm doing a video and I shot the first part earlier and my hair purposely had to look like that. So I'm gonna do part 2 later. Anyway, story time, story time. Where do I start this story? Okay, this is way back when. I'm not gonna say the years because people then start putting clues together, but it was in a cell phone store. Anyways, I was fairly new to that company, but for like, I guess want to say like the first 4 or 5 months, one of the managers at the location, her and I actually got pretty close. Got so close that she would, talk to me about her boyfriend, and her boyfriend actually worked for the company too, but he worked at another location and he was also a manager. That company was privately owned, so the owner actually had about 8 locations, and whenever you wanted to pick up some overtime, you can actually work at a different location. If you know me, I'm all about overtime. So of course I picked up overtime in a really far location. It was like an hour from my house, but that store just happened to be the store where her boyfriend was a manager. Oh, and side note, it wasn't Boost. I'm not trying to throw out hidden messages or anything like that. I worked for cell phones for 12 years. I have a lot of cell phone stuff all over the house. I got to know him, super cool guy. She was a really sweet girl. They both made a really cool couple. They were always talking about each other. You wouldn't think anything was wrong, right? Aside from all that happened or whatever, at the end of the day, he was actually a very good manager. So anytime that store offered overtime, I loved working with him. Anyways, it was just a regular day. And then I noticed that there were times where every time I try to ask him for help, he was always on his computer. But it wasn't a big deal because this was when like Facebook was getting big. I think MySpace was dying out at the time and Facebook was getting big. So I thought he was on that. He's probably just updating something on Facebook. Anyways, we all had our stations where we were activating phones, and it just so happens that my station that day actually was messed up. So I'm like, yo, can I borrow your station? And I went on his computer. Really wasn't looking for this at all. Like, we are commission based. Like, I am there to sell you a phone. So I was worried about this activation, but what was on my screen, I couldn't overlook. By reading, it was when back then Hotmail Messenger was like the big thing, and I'm just reading and I'm like, wow, what am I reading? Was talking to some girl back in Colombia, and it was like real deep conversation, like, oh, I miss you so much, and if I wasn't here I would go back to Colombia to be with you. Girl was like, oh, well, why don't you just go ahead and leave? We're gonna call her Consuelo. So it was like, why don't you go ahead and leave Consuelo and come back to Colombia with me? I'm just reading that, and mind you that the manager and I, Consuelo, and I became really good friends. So for whatever reason, I felt compelled to tell her that she needed to know this. It's like in our girl code. Like, if you know your man is messing up, or if you know that your woman is messing up, you just gotta, like, you can't just keep that to yourself. But I should have kept all of that to myself. So this is when I apparently, you guys can comment and let me know what you guys think of what I did next. Do not try this at home. Whatever you listen to in this story, don't try it, don't do it. No te ponga en esa situación. O sea, no lo haga, no lo haga. I went very, very quickly. I copied the whole conversation. I pasted it in an email and I emailed it to myself. After that, I got like real quiet. I wasn't joking with him. Like, he noticed that I completely changed just because I didn't see him the same anymore. And that was kind of like, I didn't need to do that. It was honestly unnecessary. It was unnecessary because that was between him and his girl. And yes, she was my friend and all that good stuff. But you have to understand that we're all human, and all of us at any time are capable of doing that. I forgot how I got in contact with her. I think it was during my break or whatever that I called her, and I kind of told her a little bit of what happened. And it was just like, listen, I read something and I think you should read it. I had all of this in my personal email, so I couldn't send it to her because the only email I had for her was her work email. And I'm like, I don't want this to be, in her work email. So I did something even worse, and I printed it out. I ran to my car and I put everything in my car in a little folder. And then I was like, okay, I'll just give her this tomorrow. To work early, and then I'm like, mira, this is what I have to give you. When I gave her those papers and that girl read everything, she started crying like crazy. I remember telling her, listen, throw this away or whatever, don't use this, just let him know that you know what's going on. She's like, no te preocupes. She's like, I'm not gonna tell him anything. You're safe with me. Me being the naive person that I was, or probably still am, I trusted her. I was like, okay, she's not gonna throw me under the bus. So yeah, she's just gonna tell him what's going on and I can go about my day. Version is my coworkers telling me what was going on because they were working with her at that location and I had to go to a different store that day. What they were telling me was that she just kept on reading papers over and over. She kept crying. Then she went to the owner and she was like, I need to go home. Like, I cannot be here today. Calls her boyfriend Juan Pablo and makes him leave work early. Like, this is an emergency. You need to leave right now because we need to discuss something. The problem is even bigger because these are 2 really big managers in this company, and now one is leaving early and the other one had to leave early too. So now it's affecting their job. I'm just, going about my day. I'm not thinking anything of this. All of a sudden, the owner calls me and he's like, Abby, what are you doing tomorrow? Can you come in for an early meeting? I'm like, oh, an early meeting? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, it's going to be with Juan Pablo and Consuelo, and we need you to be there. I'm like, owner sounded so upset. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, I'm about to get fired. Like, I already knew I was going to get fired. I then text Consuelo and I'm like, and I'm calling her. She's not picking up the phone. And I'm texting her and I'm like, what's going on? Why do I have to come to a meeting tomorrow? She's like, it's okay, Abby. She's like, we'll all discuss this tomorrow. And I'm like, why did you bring me up? I thought you weren't going to say anything. And then she just stopped replying. And I'm just like, wow, I'm just going to lose my, like, that's it. I'm going to lose my job. So I just found it odd that she just stopped replying. I was like, you're supposed to be my friend. Like, keep me updated. Like, yeah, I'm just in limbo right now. Anyways, the next day comes. It is 8 o'clock in the morning, bright and early. And now we have to do the meeting with the owner, Juan Pablo, and Consuelo. Guess what? Consuelo is not there. The meeting now is just going to be with Juan Pablo, the owner, and me. And I'm like, well, where's Consuelo? Owner was like, she couldn't be here. She couldn't bear to look at you. So she decided to stay. And I agreed and I let her stay. She couldn't see me. I'm just like, what do you mean she can like bear to see me? Like, I helped her. Like, what are you talking about? Anyways, Juan Pablo, bruh, he was livid. In that meeting, so confused, so lost, because I'm like, I do not understand why she's not here. Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Mind you, this was like a long time ago. This was probably about 10 years ago or more. So I remember the owner asking me, okay, Abby, so why are we here today? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Like, why are we here? And he's like, Abby, like, this is going to go a lot better for you if you're just on it. So I'm like, well, can he talk? Like, I don't understand it. I'm a little confused as to why Consuelo is not here. Like, forget about Consuelo. This is not about Consuelo right now. This is about you breaking the law and invading Juan Pablo's privacy. I'm like, what? I'm like, wait. What are you talking about? And he's like, tell me what you did on Juan Pablo's computer. And I'm like, so I confessed to what I did. Like, well, I read something that I thought was odd, and he's dating Consuelo, so I copied and pasted. I sent it to my email and I printed it. Pablo is not talking. He's just like with his arms crossed, and he's like he looked like. I mean, if that guy like could have smoke coming out of his ears, he probably would have had that. At the end of the day, he was only mad because he got caught. Because that's what cheaters do. You guys get mad, both men and women. Y'all get so mad when you guys get caught. So that's why he was angry with me. I told the owner the story. He's like, do you know that Juan Pablo can have you arrested right now? He's like, do you have any idea how you just broke the law? You invaded his privacy. I'm like, what? Like, you are so lucky that he's not pressing charges. He's like, because if it were me, I would have pressed charges. And I'm like, wait, I am so confused. At that point, Juan Pablo is not talking at all. This guy is just angry the whole time. It's a meeting with the owner and me, and he's just there as a witness, apparently. At this point, I'm so thankful that the owner at the end of the day is a rational businessman. And he's like, you tell me, Abigail, what do you think I should do? Looking at this man like, my dude, just fire me already. I already know I'm going to get fired. So just go ahead and do it so I can start looking for a job, because I'm super embarrassed. And I had no idea that this was going to be how this turned out. I wanted to say in my mind, but in real life, no, I'm a chicken. So I was like, well, I guess, you're going to fire me and I don't have a job anymore. Looks at me, he's like, no. He's like, I'm not going to fire you. He's like, but what you did to Juan Pablo was incredibly hurtful. So I'm going to need you to apologize to him. This was my face, like, for real. I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, wait, you want me to apologize to him? He's like, yes. He's like, what you did? He's like, I didn't think you were capable of doing something like that. He's like, so if you want to keep this job, you're going to have to say you're sorry. I have like things in my life that are like the top 5 humiliating moments of my life. This is one of the top 5. I had to apologize to a cheating man because the whole victim in this whole thing wasn't Consuelo. It was him. I'm just like thinking, okay, Biggie, if you apologize, you keep your job. But if you don't apologize, you have your dignity. But where are you going to go? You can move up in this company. So I don't know what to do, but I was very young and I needed the job. I needed the experience. So I sucked it up and I said sorry to this cheating bastard. He didn't get like a genuine apology from me because I didn't even look at him. I was just like, yeah, so I just want to say I'm sorry for everything that I did. Something, guys, I am constantly making mistakes, whether it's intentional or unintentional. I hurt people. We all do it at some point in life. But you know what? I will always say I'm sorry. am extremely prideful, and I think with life and experiences I grew up to be like that. But even with all that pride, if I know that I messed up, I will say I'm sorry. You guys have no idea what an I'm sorry can do for someone. You can change someone's life by giving someone a genuine, heartfelt apology. I know in my heart that I didn't do anything wrong, and this was like a whole setup to, I didn't even realize what was going on there. I'm not gonna look at you, I'm gonna look down and apologize. To me was really humiliating because yes, I know now I'm a lot older, so I know that I did a whole bunch of things that was wrong, but I still felt that Consuelo should have been there. Day, I don't really understand what happened there. Like, I do not understand why she didn't show up. Yes, I now that I'm older, I will admit that I shouldn't have gone about it the way that I did. So now it's like, you know what, Biggie, you owed both of them an apology. I shouldn't have intervened to begin with. The only reason I felt humiliated was because I just felt like I just felt like he was making himself the victim when he wasn't. Anyways, the meeting was over, and then the owner was like, listen, you're going to keep your job. It's just that going forward, you're not going to work at his location, obviously. Like a couple of days later, I ran into Consuelo finally, and it was like weird. She was kind of trying to avoid me. And then I just asked her, I was like, Mira, why didn't you go? The answer was because she didn't want any more problems. I don't know what that meant, but that was the answer that I got. And she didn't want any more problems. Like a couple of days, everyone, and I mean everyone in the whole company knew about that whole situation. I remember one of the coworkers going up to me like, "Yo, if I would have known that you were gonna do all of that, like I would have warned you. I would have stopped you before you did all that." It's like, yeah, I know. I should not have done what I did. I should not have gone through his, messenger and printed everything out, whatever. He said, no, 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 that's not what I'm talking about. He's like, he cheats on her all the time. Wait a minute, what? And then this other coworker came in, and this was a boy and a girl coworker, and they're like, yeah, she knows that he cheats on her all the time. So this whole time, I am risking my job, my reputation. I was humiliated and embarrassed, and she's known about him all along. Coworkers are like, nena, esto no es nada nuevo. This isn't new. Like, he cheats on her all the time, and he even cheated on her with other coworkers. I'm like, get out of here. Think I have ever felt as dumb as I did at that moment after hearing all of that. Like, to know that all along she's always known that he was a cheater. After that moment, after that date, let me tell you guys something. If you are close to a coworker or whoever, do not get into those type of relationships. Do not try to ever fix anything job related because you saw that even though as close as we were, I almost lost my job because of that estúpida. Those type of relationships that no matter who is cheating on who, they're happy. I don't know how they think, that they're going to change and they're never going to change, but they still stay there. That some people will probably ask me, well, what if you're in a situation where it's a really good friend of yours? Like, would you say something? That's where you got to know what friend you're going to tell. Best advice for that is just use your best judgment. If it's a couple that's always on and off, on and off, on and off, don't get in between that couple because they're going to be on and off for the rest of their lives. My real life, I probably have about a handful full of people that if I ever saw their partners or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever doing something, yes, I would tell them what's going on. I wouldn't do it the way I did it way back when. I wouldn't be on some copy paste, let me send you an email, print out some documents. No, 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 no. This is more like they trust me so much that I would do it face to face. Thing with me, I have a handful of people that I can actually trust, and I know that they care about me so much that if they ever saw somebody that I was dating doing something crazy, it would just be like, say no more. Like, I believe you. I said, guys, just use your best judgment. If you know that it's an on and off couple, try to stay away from that. If you know that that person is not going to believe you and you're going to be the bad guy, stay away from that. Stay away from couples that are always in denial too, because you could tell somebody, you can have proof and pictures and everything, and it's like, yeah, but that's not really my boyfriend because he doesn't wear black hats. Just always recommend, and they just always say, listen, just don't get involved. That's not your problem. Yeah, that's true, but sometimes it kind of is our problem. Because I had a boyfriend cheating on me years ago, and so many people knew, and no one ever told me anything. Told me, trust me, I would have broken up with him as soon as I heard that. But not only that, I was also really embarrassed because so many people knew. I feel dumb, like, wow, Biggie loves him so much and he's just cheating on her. And it's like, I swear, no, it was the one time in church when nobody gossiped. Found out on my own. And then when I finally, when it finally started getting out, so many people were like, I Nina, I knew. I don't understand why nobody told me nothing. It hurt me even more, you know what I mean? Because I felt like, why weren't my friends telling me this stuff? But anyway, that's a whole nother story, and I don't want to get sidetracked. Just kind of think about it, pray on it, just be like, should I tell this person this? Because by you revealing that, you could save someone a really big heartache. known all the stuff about my coworker and her boyfriend, I would have just seen that on his messenger, and I would have just been like, okay, Mr. Customer, let me finish this activation, because I don't care that he's cheating on her. Update, yes, I actually became a manager of that company like about 2 months later. I was actually in shock that I was even considered for the position. Company for about 3 years in total, and it got to the point that that kind of all just got washed away, to the point that Juan Pablo and Consuelo and me all became friends again. Yes, the whole 3 years that I was in the company, Juan Pablo and Consuelo stayed together. I think when I left, I think Consuelo actually was pregnant. I don't know if they're together now. This was like 10 years ago. Part of the story is anything work related, anything crazy like that, just make sure to follow your instinct, because if you're wrong, it can almost, if not, cost you your job.